Hello, my name is Oliver Glanz and I'm a professor of Old Testament at Andrews University. In this video tutorial I would like to show you how to get access to morphological information in your Accordance Bible software. So let's go here over to Accordance and let's open a couple of texts, the Greek New Testament as well as a parallel text to it. Let's do here the ESV, and then let's move the ESV here over to the left side, enlarge our font. Okay, good, we're all set. Now what you'll see is that when I'm hovering over any particular word here in the Greek text, I'm not provided with any morphological information. However, that morphological information is encoded in that particular database that I have opened, namely the Nestle 128 Greek New Testament. So in order to get access to that information, you have two ways. Number one is clicking on window and then having the instant details window show up. Number two is to actually show an interlinear. So let's first go with the instant detail window. So right now you see the instant detail window has popped up and appears here on the right side of my screen. I have the possibility to actually change the position of that instant detail window by clicking here on this button, which will transform it into a horizontal window instead of a vertical window. Unfortunately, there are not as many possibilities with regard to placement of that window when compared to Logos, but you have one more option here, and that is by clicking on this little button which allows you to float that instant detail window and put it anywhere where you like. So now we have this floating window. Now, what you will see here is that once you have clicked on a Greek word or hovered over a Greek word, you are provided with first the lexical entry of that, the lexical form of that word. For example, egenesen should be looked up in the dictionary under genau or genomai, depending on what type of dictionary you have. Then you're provided with morphological information, verb, third singular aorist active indicative, and then you are provided with a couple of glosses, very basic glosses that provide you an idea of the meaning of that word. Now, an important trick to know is that if you want to stop the instant updating of the information that is connected to a word that you're hovering over, for example here egenesen, then you have to click the shift button. In Windows you click the shift button and now you see I can continue hovering over different words, but my information here in the instant detail window has frozen. So this can be quite helpful in some cases. So in order to freeze the instant detail window and not have it continuously update to whatever word you're hovering over, you have to click the shift button. Now I release the shift button and you see that everything, that the instant updating is happening again. Okay, so this is one way of showing morphological information in Accordance Bible software. You get another way of showing morphological information by actually enabling the interlinear display. You can see that we have the option for most of the text sources actually to show interlinear information. So if I click here on show interlinear, I have the same option, by the way, as I said, for other text as well. Here's ESV, I could also show the interlinear. So what you'll see here is that 3 lines are provided with additional information. Key, that's basically your strong numbers, then lexical information, the lexical form that you need to know in order to look up the word, and then you have a part of speech line. You can add further lines actually to this display by clicking on the sign up here, and you see that you have a couple of options here available. So you could, let's click on all of them and then run quickly through them. And then we missed the gloss and syntax. Okay, good. So you see we have the key The key is not really helpful in a seminary context where you all know Hebrew and Greek, so we could click this away. Then we have the lexical information. Then we have the transliteration of the lexical form. So in case you don't know how to pronounce Greek or Hebrew words, that might be a helpful thing. Well, in our case, we know how to pronounce, so we click those transliterations away. Then you have the part of speech, obviously, noun, here noun, verb, article, noun, conjunction, and so on. And then we have the tag. The tag basically is the accordance way of providing to you morphological information. You see here feminine singular, nominative, or here, for example, again it's in third singular, aorist, active, indicative. Now, the tag is followed by the gloss, where you're provided with a very simple minimalist translation of the Greek word here in particular, and then you're having the syntax level. Now, obviously, what you see is the syntax level is empty. Now, the reason why the syntax line is empty is because this particular database is not enriched with syntactical information. You see the same thing when we go here to the left side on the ESV, that there are a couple of slots that are actually not filled with information. For example, part of speech. There's no information available for the part of speech of the English word book or genealogy. Well, that's for obvious reasons. So make sure that you know which database has what type of information. You see when you go to the Hebrew text, for example, there, let's enlarge this, if we click here on our interlinear, you see that syntax actually is available. So you see here the lexical forms, then the part of speech, and here the syntax, adjunct, complement, predicate, bara, obviously the predicate of that clause, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, and then we have the complements, which are here having the phrase function of an object, in fact. Yeah, so not all of the options are available or filled with information. Why is that? Because not every database has information on these particular things. So we discussed two ways of getting access to morphological information. Number one is the instant detail window as you find it down here, and number two is showing the interlinear of any text, and then in that interlinear you are able to decide what type of information you actually want to see. Okay, I hope that tutorial was helpful for you. Bye.